Right, you lot, and sometimes football can be a really funny sport. This Everton situation, man, it is crazy. Now, it's a very strange one to tackle, and it's very hard to talk about this situation without kind of looking at others. The big looming one, 115 charges, Man City, but I'm going to try and not focus on that too much. Well, I do this because I don't want this video to be about Man City. I want it to be about Everton, because I think that's too good. So the big news story going around is that Everton could be potentially receiving a 15-point deduction for breaches of FFP, which, look, I don't know there's a lot of argument you can do. The way Everton has spent money in the past decade has been nothing short of embarrassing. They spent so much money on so many players that just didn't work out. Like I've not seen a club spend money so badly since maybe Todd Bowley took over Chelsea, but Everton should have been challenging for Europe in that time period. They were spending money on par with the big six teams. They're a club as big, arguably, just short. Like, they should be doing what a Brighton's doing right now, what a Villa's doing right now, but instead, it's been relegation battle after relegation battle the past few seasons, and I don't know why they got rid of Ancelotti when they did, because, he got them 10th, he got them to a decent position. I don't know how you go from a manager like Carlo Ancelotti to Frank Lampard in a couple of years. It's embarrassing in my opinion. So, but there are a lot of issues with this, because if they are to get the 15-point deduction, it is very likely that they get relegated, because realistically, they always say 40 points you need to survive in the Premier League, but it's not really 40 points anymore, is it? I feel like last year, Everton stayed up, they didn't get to 40 points. It's rare for teams actually get to 40 points these days, so I think roughly about 35 can keep you up. Especially this year, because you've got teams, the three teams that come up are all struggling currently, and the league doesn't seem to be as strong as it was down the bottom last year, so I think 35 points does keep you up, but that would mean Everton have to probably get about 50 points. Maybe 48, something like that. And you look at that team, and I know recently their form has kind of changed. They started off the season really poorly, got pumped by Aston Villa, got pumped by a couple of other teams, couldn't beat Sheffield United away. There were some really terrible results for them. But then they did kind of come back recently. I think they beat Brentford, which was quite a massive win for them. Of course, they lost at Anfield, but that you lose there every season if you're Everton, no disrespect. And that game had a few questionable decisions with the Konate potential red card. But I think even if he was sent off, I don't know if Everton would have got anything out of that game. But that it is what it is. But they are saying that if Everton are to go down from this, then it could kill the club. It could really have impact. They need to be a Premier League team, and if they do get this deduction, it's going to look very unlikely that they can stay in the league, because I don't see Everton getting 50 points. I see them getting the 35 or 40 maybe needed to survive, but you're taking away 15 from that. They're going to be on -5. It's a bad start. They might get more points than Sheffield United, but that's about it. And I think this could be really bad for the club. I know I believe the owner actually died of Everton. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Or at least someone high in power at Everton, so it's quite ironic. They're like, oh, he's dead, oh, let's mourn him, and then 2 days later we're bringing out all this. It's like, you could have waited a bit, but and this is going to be a major thing. Now the big question, of course, as you know, I am a Liverpool supporter. I don't think that's much of a surprise. I've said it a few times. And how do I've always said I don't want Everton relegated. I prefer to have Everton as kind of like a crap team near the bottom that we get for 6 points from every year. I kind of laugh at them, but I don't want them to go down. They're a good character, you know what I mean? They're like the Panto villain. You can't take the Panto villain out the story, because you've got no story. It's like they're a character that you dislike, But I wouldn't want to see them go down, because I think they're a big club, and I think it's good to have actually your kind of local rival in the league, because those Merseyside derbies are always entertaining. And they always, they can throw up surprises. Everton don't usually win, but they have won. Of course, they won in the lockdown season. They've got draws sometimes. They got And then when you win, like a last minute thing like what happened to Rigi is amazing. So I think those games and those moments are fantastic, and I think the rivalry is important. And I would hate to see Everton fall or collapse as a club, and I think most Liverpool fans would agree with that. I think it'd be a real shame to lose one of the league's longest serving teams as well, because they've never been relegated, and that's kind of the one trophy they've bloody got. That they've been here since the 50s and they've not gone down, and that's quite impressive. Like, the only other teams who've really done that are like the big kind of six, not even the big six. Like, I think Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool. I think Chelsea as well. I don't think Chelsea ever got relegated. Tottenham. I know Man City have been down. Of course they've been down. So yeah. But I think the big point that a lot of people are bringing up with this, and I know Jamie Carragher spoke about it when these Everton allegations came out, it's the fact that, well, one charge of FFP rules is taking away 15 points. When you've got 115 charges over you, what is going to happen? And I think obviously that's going to take a really long time, because you think it took them this long to go through one charge. They might have already gone through 10 charges and said we could destroy Man City with this, but they need to go through all of them. There's 105 more to go. Like, it's all good saying, oh, well, if Everton are getting this punishment, how are Man City not getting it? It's taken longer, and it's going to be a bigger thing. But I think if you're losing 15 points for one charge, like, they got to be losing like 150 points, surely, for 115 charges, if all of them turn to be true. And I don't think Man City will ever get done for it, because I think their lawyers, they're too well equipped. We all saw what happened with the Champions League ban and how they got out on a technicality. We all know they did it, that no one could prove anything. They got away with it on an actual technicality, which was really frustrating. And I think again that will be the case in Man City, compared to Everton, who are not as equipped as Man City. So it is kind of bullying the small dogs, isn't it? And I think this could kill a Premier League icon. And I think you do have to take it with a 15 point, but you've got to be consistent, you've got to back down. Because I know there's a lot of teams that have probably broken FFP rules. I think Man United, there's question marks there. I know, like, they've been really limited in the summer because of FFP. Man City's the obvious one, but Chelsea as well is these 8-year contracts that Todd Bowley's doing really good. And I think this spending, but I think the real loser here is Everton and the way that their owner did spend money. You look at what happened to the Leeds in the early 2000s. They put everything into it. They put way too much into it. That when it went wrong and they got relegated, it was absolutely disarray. And you see that happen with clubs a lot. Like Southampton, for example, they've spent a lot of money, they've made a lot of money, but now they've gone down. That's going to struggle. And these teams, when a big club goes down, you sometimes see them go down again. And I would not be shocked if Everton did get relegated. We see them go down to League One, because the thing with Everton is that most of those players are not going to want to play in the Championship. You look at like a Pickford, he's going to be gone. Onana's going to be gone. Decore, even a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's a Premier League level striker. A lot of those, Beto as well. Like most of that team, Tarkowski, like most of that squad are Premier League quality. And you do look at the Everton team, and this is the thing. I looked at them on when they played Liverpool on Saturday, and I said, this is the team. Like, this is a decent Premier League team. They should be a mid-table fighting top 10 team. They, like, on paper, they're not much worse than West Ham, who was someone who could be competing for Europe and are in the Europa League this year. It's just frailties of Everton. But what I'm going to say is I don't think we're going to be seeing Dele Alli come back into the Everton team, because that deal was so weird. Like, if he plays a certain amount of minutes, they have to pay 40 million to Tottenham. I don't know why they sanctioned that deal. That was so bizarre. But anyway, that is kind of my take on the whole Everton situation. My personal belief and my personal kind of feeling is that I personally wouldn't want to see them go down. But if you get the 15-point deduction, you can't disagree with it. But in the sense, I think it is an issue. I think a transfer ban would probably make more sense for them, maybe. At least gives them a bit more of a fighting chance. And if they somehow manage to stay up, like, even with the 50-point deduction, that might be a sporting achievement on par with, like, some of the great things we've seen. Like, if they're able to come back from that, if Sean Dyche, you got to feel bad for Sean Dyche right now, because Burnley, he had no money for a decade and he had to constantly drag that thing out. And Everton, if there's after, like, give Dyche, like, an actual stable club, like, put Dyche in the Crystal Palace team and he's going to do great stuff with them. Like, he does not get the credit he deserves, Sean Dyche, in my opinion. But anyway, that is a video for another time. I'm going to try and do more videos there. I did a video a couple of days talking about Europe. I'm going to do another video on the relegation battle, so yeah, I'll see you soon.